All right, so we are finishing up over here, Perek Chamishi, and next week we're gonna have to abridge the Perek Shishi, which we know that actually the Kiyadua, the Pirkei is really only 5 prakim long. The 6th Perek was just a Geshmak of Brisus of to do with Torah and had good hashkafa, so they tacked it on to the end of Pirkei Avos. Yesterday, right at the end, we finished off Yehuda ben Taimah. You should be as Kanemer. We explained that's how you should go through life, by being bold in your service of Hashem and quick. There's reasons in your service of Hashem. You should run like it's the Gibuk Ari. Use these characteristics of these natural animals, and you should use them in your service of Hashem. As humans, we have the choice to choose when to use these characteristics. Animals don't. Animals do not have a choice. Animals are instructed by their instinct. They don't have a choice to be fast and not to be fast. There's no laziness by a deer. His instincts will tell him to do something, and he will do it. A nesher, it's not like you have a choice to fly. That's what they do. Do you have a choice to breathe? I mean, that's what you do. Your instinct tells you to breathe. It's not like you think about it. However, we humans, everything we do is based on thought. We can cause ourselves to have a habit. So, to become this reason and things like that. That's true. But we have the choice on how to act. And therefore, he's telling you, look at the natural world and look what a Zaris is. Look at the natural world. Look what an Az is. Again, I don't know why specifically these creatures, why is a Nomer known as Az? I don't know. And what exactly the specific qualities by a Nomer over other things, I don't know. But Akopanim, what it does, like we said yesterday, you have to go ahead and power through power through life. If this is what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants, then this is what I'm going to do. If I'm supposed to be light, I'm going to be light. It says, get up in the morning, ka'ari. When you get up in the morning, you're like, listen, I'm really tired now, and should I go back to sleep or should I not? That's not a good question. What do you mean? Should I go back to sleep? I want to know, should I go back to sleep? The question is, does Hashem want me to go back to sleep or not? Imagine you were a real servant of Hashem. So now you could say, listen, I could go back to sleep so I should be able to serve you better the rest of the day. So it might be a very similar question, but it's a whole different question. Not should I go back to sleep or should I not? Hashem, in your service, how will I serve you better? And now, you know what? I think Hashem would want me to get up right now because Lamaisa, who knows, maybe I won't be tired later on. It's Kedai to get up now. It's a whole different question. And it's the same question, it's the same denominator, but it's a whole different question. And that really has to be your question. And then once you're getting up, instead of stretching and like spending 15 minutes in deciding which shirt to wear, you go ahead and you move. There's reasons. There's so much to do. There's just so much to do on this planet. Okay. Who as panim legehenim? Mamish, what seems to be a sira from one mission to the next. But it's not only two different people, it's the same person. He used to say, as panim legehenim. Somebody who is an azus, he's brazen. He goes to Gehenim. Uboishes panim, somebody who is embarrassed. Again, it doesn't mean embarrassed, like you just burped in public. It's uboishes panim leganeden. It means a person who is what's a good word? Not humble. You're embarrassed, but again, it's not embarrassed, but shy to Gan Eden. Why? Because those who are shy, or again, it's not a perfect translation, but it's the opposite of brazen. So they go to Gan Eden. Then he says, some say, if I remember correctly, that this is the last Mishna, and it finishes off with the Yiratzim, and the other two are misplaced, but I think I remember that. So the Ubaishis Panim, Gan Eden. So what's the Vart? The Vart is as follows. Naturally, you should be a Baishis Panim. Naturally, you should have, you should be a Baishis Panim. However, like we said, everything is a choice. So sometimes you have to go ahead and swallow your Baishis Panim and be an Az. If you want to ask a question in Shir, sometimes it's embarrassing. You don't have the guts to do it. Just ask. That case of the boy who was taking a ride in somebody else's car and the person put music on. Just ask. You don't have to throw anything. You don't have to kick the guy in the back. You just say, "Excuse me, I'm, is it possible? Thank you so much for giving me a ride, but is it possible? I'm sort of, I'm kind of awkward. Is it possible you could turn it off?" And the guy will be happy to comply. And you know what? If he screeches to a stop and says, "Get out," so then you get out. The chances of that happening are small, but you never know. Now, that is, so to be an az panim, first of all, usually you don't have to, it takes guts. It takes a lot of guts. And people have to go ahead. A perfect example, but totally misplaced, would be, let's say, the coming minyanim. So there's going to be, 10 people per minyan. And what happens if Mr. 11 shows up? So I told them I don't want to be responsible for this because I know I will not be able to tell the person you can't come. The guy comes and asks me, "Listen, can I be I know you already went up to 14. Can I be number 15, 16, 17 with my kids?" "Oh, of course, come in." What's 15 to 17? And someone else can come. If I was in charge of being the strong man by the minyan, we'd have a packed base medrash. Because every single person is just me. Okay, of course, come in, no problem. So it's going to be, you have to.
My class.
And
actually, it's my phone. I'm probably using it.
There are people who have these, as, it has to be you. So if it was a mitzvah, lu yitzur, there was takas, sakonas nefashos, so then you have to be strong. You have to strengthen yourself and use a backbone and say, "I'm sorry, we're makbid on 10. That's just an example because it's on my mind. But it's not a mitzvah, so mamela, I'm not upset that I'm like that. But if it was a mitzvah, for example, any of the other mitzvahs, like any other situations where you are where it's taka mitzvah, but it's very I don't want to use the word embarrassing, but it's very hard to stick up for your rights. Baruch Hashem, I'm able to put on a talis and tefillin in the airports, but some people are mamish embarrassed to wear talis and tefillin in public. So for them, they have to practice their midah of azus, practice their midah of brazenness. I'm Hashem's man. Again, you don't have to stand in the middle of security holding everybody up because you're decided it's Nazman Krishman. You're saying with a shmang in the middle. No, you don't have to do that. But you have to go ahead and in your own corner, not obtrusive, not bothering anybody. Be proud of who you are in a quiet way. And if you can think of any other examples, but when do we have az panim? Anytime that you have to stick up for Hashem, anytime that you have to do it to a perfect...
Is it possible you could extend... I don't know. I was about to give another example.
Yeah, so a perfect example is shaking hands with a lady. I tell everybody that even though it's mutter, it is mutter. Halacha l'maisa, I would tell you that if you can't do it, then do it. If you can't, say no and do it. I think it's mutter. Obviously, it depends on who you are. If you're going to have your hurim by shaking hands with a lady, or depending on who she is, then not. But the standard average guy is... actually, standard average guy might have your hurim. But if you're below standard average guy, so you're shaking hands, it's taka, not a problem. It's not chiba. I'm not asking to say that. But I say it's the best chumrah to take upon yourself. I don't shake hands with a lady. I think it's mutter, but I don't do it. And what will happen? I go to a dentist's office. I go to a doctor's office with my kids. I go to a bank. I go anywhere that they shake hands. I say, "I'm sorry." Nice, pleasant smile. "I'm sorry, I don't do it. I can't shake hands. It's just a religious thing, whatever."
Maybe that's the shot in Corona.
What?
That's the shot in Corona.
Maybe that's shot in Corona. What are you saying?
To stop handshaking. To stop handshaking.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect.
You don't have to worry about it for a while.
Right. Exactly. It's Baruch Hashem.
Anyway.
Forever. This is going to change America long term.
When I started my internship, it's right when it started. Yeah. So it's great. I didn't have to worry about it at all.
Amazing. Either of it. It's a long term. 10 years, you're going to be able to say, I don't shake hands. So
I'm an anti-vaxxer.
Especially anti-vaxxers are going to be really killed after this. I got called actually. Oh, whatever. By the anti-vaxxers during this Corona thing, to try to get me on board a group of people or whatever. Anyways, I said I was during the time I'm like davening because Lamaisa, these guys are my friends. I know them. So I'm like, Hashem, please get me out of this. Please get me out of this. And Baruch Hashem, the words came out good. Like, I like you guys a lot, but this is not my deal. Like, anyways. So Lamaisa. Okay, so.
But I was just thinking also, could you also extend it just Amazon? People sometimes are at a minyan that's not such a stark minyan, so you can feel a pressure to daven faster or be more with everyone else. So you're not you're not putting in people's faces, but like just in your own davening, say, look, I don't care what everyone else is doing around me. What looks normal, I'm davening the way I want to daven.
Good to still. Very good.
Disturbing people, yelling and whatever. But I'm saying,
It's a
calling
good
your skull in action. Like,
No one likes that guy.
Of,
The right guy said no one likes that guy.
That's a very good sushtel. It's a very good sushtel. And I was in the middle of saying the case of shaking hands. It takes a backbone, but you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, I like your sushtel better. That's a good one. That you have a person you have to have a backbone that you're doing what's right. Or another one, you just made me think of another one. You're around people and they're speaking lashon hara. And how much guts does it take to say that I don't do that? Or I just thought of another one. There was Beis Yaakov they wear caps and gowns for their graduation. Caps and gowns is not pashut because it's a chukas akom. So they originally asked, and I said no, it's chukas akom. You shouldn't do it. This was so Lamaisa. They did it, but Rabbi Unger's daughter and maybe one other person, I'm not sure, came out without the gown. There was 50 girls there with the gowns and 2 girls without a gown. That takes, you know how much guts that takes? But if you hold it's also so. Yeah, I like
graduation. So I'm saying we say graduations. What's the ask? Because
any minhag that doesn't have a pshat is chukas akom,
and this graduation itself
comes from the church.
Caps and gowns come from church?
Yeah, it comes from it used to be that's the way they graduated from some monastery, whatever,
That's how it started again? I don't know.
What's the chiluk between that and like style? Like I don't only buy from Jewish stores. I go to a random.
Yeah, because I'm saying that's Tamazai Shaila in Hilchas Chukas Akom. Like, why are we allowed to wear a tie? And anything that is done that it could be understood that is understood as style and things like that. Then it's, in other words, it's understood why a doctor wears a white coat. We have to identify who the doctor is. Nowadays they stopped because they like to be so white, But it's understood 20 years ago why doctors wear white coats, and it's understandable why we wear shoes. All these things are understandable. So a tie, it's understandable why, even though it doesn't make sense, there's nothing in a tie, but it's understandable that it became part of fashion, and wearing a hat and it was part of fashion. But randomly in the middle of nowhere wearing a cap and gown, that's something that, or putting a jack-o'-lantern on your front porch. So if it's a random meaning that has no basis, that's something that just came up in the Shaila yesterday also.
Is it worse if it's connected to like like a religious stuff, meaning to religion?
Yeah,
is that any difference? I always said it's connected to church. I was like, okay, that's already worse. But saying if it's
no, the reason why it's usher is because of that's where it came up. The reason why it's usher is because of because it might have been sourced in like, for example, a piñata. Do you know that piñata is actually sourced in Avodah Zarah? Like those things that you break in. So all these strange minhagim, you don't know where it comes from. Now it could be sourced in something that's not a problem. But anything that doesn't have a reason.
It doesn't matter that you're
birthday candles?
breaking a piñata because like it's a gishmak thing to like have candy come out of your thing. But like it's not like nothing to do with like paganism. I'm just like.
Right. I have to.
Birthday candles. Birthday candles, I think, are also pagan, right?
Birthday
candles are also. I see a lot of people do them. Like I never understood like why you want them. Sorry?
I wrote an article on this. I have to look up. I don't remember exactly the halacha. I have to look it up. Whatever. I'll get back to you in a couple minutes. I just remembered one now, and that is somebody just asked because he had a lot of hair because he was and so he wanted to shave just the sides and leave the top. Like a faux mohawk. I haven't seen those recently. I don't know.
People still use those. People still wear those. I know in Israel, all the like shababnikim always have. They don't have like the whole thing on top, but it's completely on the sides and like they have like a levers there.
Yeah.
You don't see that in America that much.
Right. I remember. I'm saying in like the 80s they had mohawks and faux hawks. I don't know. Do they still have them?
Mohawks still. You'll see once in a while.
Yeah.
I see once in a while.
The quackos, but
not like a real like mohawk, but they have like it was saying like there's no hair on the side. It's like a long like ponytail in the top.
Right. Yeah, I think they're called fox. Anyway, so this guy asked if he could do it. So I looked it up, and no, it sounds like you can't do it. It's possibly, yeah.
What about something like yoga, which has the logical purpose of it's physically healthy, but it's sourced in Avodah Zarah?
Yeah, that could be even worse. like different depending on the types of yoga that are being performed. That could be even worse because
It's not just like an exercise. Like,
well, it depends on the energies that are being transferred and everything like that. It's not simple that it's just a plain old exercise. It's but that
yoga could do so much.
I haven't looked up these halachas in a while. I have to, I'm not passing here. If it's nageh and the I would have to look it up.
So like birthday candles, like I see a lot of people use birthday candles.
I know.
That still makes sense. I think they had in the temples or something.
Can we take a minute of the goyim? Like imagine like a pagan guy who was like developed a car, and we're like, oh, we're gonna make a car for ourselves. Like, we're not trying to follow, but like, can we take it over?
So it depends on the reason.
I think it's worse if it's directly connected to the religion. That's way worse. I mean, like for the service, like if they serve this with candles, they light candles on their birthdays.
So the reason why it's usher is because it is connected to the religion. That's the reason why it's usher. Still waiting for this thing to load.
I'm saying, so is it dafka that, or is it hukas? That's what I'm saying. Rabbi sounded like it's hukas the guy. It's not necessarily connected to the avodah zarah. It's just
the reason is because we're scared that it is connected. That's the reason why. Because we're scared that it is connected to avodah zarah. That's the reason. If and anything that is understandable,
the style wouldn't really be that, would it? Like the celebrities are cool. Right?
No, so exactly. So style is not a problem.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Okay, my computer is taking a long time. All right, so let's continue, and when it loads up, we'll get back to this. Okay, so basically he was saying Azpanim to Gehenim. This is the natural way. The natural way is that you should not be an Azpanim. The natural way, but you should use that midah of Azus when it comes and use it properly. That's the basic gist. Okay, Yehuda, that's Duchav. Hey, who Haya used to say Ben Chamish Shanim LeMikra. When you learn, you should 5-year-old to start learning Mikra. Ben Eseh Shanim LeMishna, 10-year-old to start learning Mishnayos. Ben Shalosh Esrei LeMitzvah, 13 years old is when you become a bar mitzvah. Ben Chamesh Esrei LeGemara, 15 years old is when you start learning Gemara. Apparently, you need 5 years to learn all of Mishnayos and 5 years to learn all of Chumash. And then Ben Shmoina Esrei LeChuppah, 18 years old to get married. Totally for that. Ben Esem Lirdev. What?
Actually?
Yeah, I'm serious. I mean, you can't just have one guy do it. But I would not mind if society.
I really think so. Rabbi thinks his high school seniors night sitter cheer. You think any of those guys are mature enough? I'm gonna say I bet enough older guys. But anyone in that cheer? I'm gonna say the good guys in that cheer.
All right, Gabe, you got me.
I always say I just I don't know. What's struggle?
So the truth is that the way it would work is that the reason they're like that. I mean, they're precious kids. I love them. But the reason why they're like that is because they have no responsibilities. If these kids were on a farm and they had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to milk the cows, then they would do that. There's absolutely no pressure put on them, and we cater to their every whim, and we still, try to make sure everything is pleasant and palatable for them, and chas v'shalom that they should hurt their ankles or anything. So of course they're a bunch of soft kids with no responsibilities. But if you beat them into shape and say, buddy, you got to earn a living by the time you're 18 years old, then they would be very responsible.
Right. They're
responsible kids. You know how they can't. I'm saying I'm all for it actually.
It's all for us now, being hard. Putting all the kids instead of it's senior trip. Everyone goes to a farm, work them hard. They come out, they can start. They're ready.
So the farm was just a muscle, but the point is that they have no responsibilities, and Memela they are. I'm asking to you at this very second, not ready. But if society slowly but surely moved the age down to 22 to 21 to 20 to 19 to 18, then I believe, I'll tell you what I believe, you'd solve a lot of girl problems and you'd make the boys responsible much earlier. There wouldn't be so much hefkerus in the teenage world. Some say there'll be more divorces. I disagree. I mean, whatever. It's a theoretical shiloh, maybe.
It could be, but also if it's, let's say it would solve the shidduch crisis, for example. It's a give and take, Nothing's perfect.
Right.
That's not a tie in itself.
I think that, no, I'm not saying that everybody today should get married, but slowly but surely society should what happens when these kids become 22? Suddenly they become mature? No, the vart is they become mature when they get the responsibilities.
I can tell you personal experience. No, not at all.
Yeah, when they get the responsibilities, that's when they become personally mature. So if suddenly you have to get married and be mature enough to have a wife, so then you will become mature. People live up to their responsibilities. That's kosher. And an 18-year-old boy, albeit a soft American, should be able to hold a house. Okay, chukas akum. Flowers on a grave, blowing out birthday candles. This is indeed a forbidden practice, yes. Upon investigation, it seems that this practice can be traced back to ancient Greece to pay respects to, I didn't write the name, the goddess of the hunt. It is forbidden that people would place cakes with candles in them on altars in her honor to symbolize a prosperous hunt under the glow of the moon. During these times, it was believed that the smoke would carry the prayers up to the gods. So the act of making a wish and then blowing out the candles would send them on their way up to being fulfilled. A slightly more in-depth explanation can be easily found to the interested reader in an encyclopedia. This custom would then fall into the rubric of practices of non-Jews, which they're sourced in idolatry. Yeah, so I asked her, Taka. I didn't even know that.
Also, but they didn't do it for birthdays, and nothing wasn't birthday connected. It was just.
It was, yeah. I mean, that's what I write over here. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I see a lot of people do. Like I don't like why people like it. Like it's a thought. It's also like, why would you care to have birthday candles?
Yeah.
I couldn't care less.
Yeah. Yes. It's elsewhere. I didn't remember that it was elsewhere. Okay. It's good that you reminded me. Okay. Who haya Aimer? All right, so we're up to and S from the Lirdef. 20-year-old should start making money. Should start going to work. So what do you do for the first 2 years? First 2 years, you go to Kailataka. Ben Shloishim la koyach. 30 years old, that's when you get koyach. Ben Arboim labina, that's when you get understanding. Ben Chamishim la'etza, that's when you, I guess maybe give etza. Ben Shishim la'zikna, that's when you become old. Ben Ship, that's when you become. What? I'm freezing up.
What's the point of these like age? No, what's the point of these like age?
Is this like a guide, like
either you have it or you don't.
Like where you are.
Yeah, like we just said, like automatically you turn 50, now you're wise. Like you've been in numbskull for your whole life. Now you just 50, you're magical. Like 80 years old now, like very, there's some very perverted.
Like, I think that these birthdays are so big.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know. I'll tell you a story in the end. Like, ben Shmonim legvura, ben Tishim lasuach. 9 years was bent over. Ben Me'ach ilu meis va'avar be'uat u'manaylam. When he's 100, he says if he's died, and he's not there anymore. So everybody says until 120. There's no such thing.
Okay, if someone has 100th birthday, say your great grandmother. You tell you're dead.
She's gone.
You're done. You're basically dead.
Tzarech where the whole bracha comes from.
So about there's all these tzaddikim that passed away well before they were 40 even. The Ramchal this week was his yahrzeit.
The Ramchal, the Ramah is 40. The Shach. I'm saying a lot of people.
So it's supposed to be like we have Gadol, like with Yashiv, right? Was he over 100?
I think so, but nobody made it to the 120. No one makes it to 120.
I was saying, but like over 100, saying, does that mean when he turned 100, he was dead? Like, what's that mean? Obviously not. He was the Gadol.
No, he's not going to be able to twife anymore. He can't twife anymore. He's too old. If you have 100 people helping him, maybe. But I know Reb Shach asked somebody when he was 90, he said he can't learn anymore. And he went Baker to him. He says, Ben Tishin Lasuach. He had some Lasuach, he said it means to daven. Doesn't mean to bend over. And it means to daven. And he said he can't, his brain doesn't work anymore. That's what he said. It's in the Reb Shach book. And finally, Ben Bagbag Oimer. This is a famous one. Here we go.
Right behind Rabbi,
Hey, very good. Yeah, I told you the story of Ben Bagbag. I was looking for this. We were looking how to spell it when I was searching it. When we were putting it up over here. So I wanted to know how to spell it. What was the problem? Dekulaba. We wanted to know if Dekulaba had a vav or not. So I put into my computer Ben Bagbag Oimer, and nothing happened. There's no find. Like what? What does that mean? But I put in because of Shweki Ben Bagbag Oimer. So I put in Ben Bagbag twice. Anyways, it took us a while. I mean, whatever. I knew where it was, but if I just got a sitter out. I only stopped afterwards. My mistake. Anyways. So delve into it. Delve into it. Dekulaba, because everything is in it. Everything is in the Torah. You could go ahead and steig and learn. And the interesting thing about Torah is that it's the same Torah. In other words, if you pass 11th grade math, you get a 12th grade math book. It's not the same stuff. It's new stuff. You used to have geometry, and now you have calculus. You used to have whatever else there is. But you don't have, once you get to Mashenkin here, it's Meseches Nadarim again and again and again. Hafochba, again and again. You keep learning the same things, and you get the depth. You get the same depth, the kulaba, because everything is in it. And you should be able to see things in it. This is you gotta see the truth. V'siv of leba, that you go old with it. Ubelay, wear yourself out over it. Umina loy sazua, don't move from it. What a good song. Because there's nothing better than it. Unbelievable. This Mishnah is mamish unbelievable. It's really a rallying cry for all B'nai Torah. What does it mean? Like we've discussed many times over the years, Torah is not geometry. Torah is not. What Torah is Hashem created the world, and He created a way to plug into Him. You know how to plug into Hashem? By saying, you say those words, you plug into Hashem. Hashem created a magical way to get into Hashem. Every time you say a word, it's as if you ate something that was Hashem. If you say over 2 + 2 = 4, you did nothing. You just said 2 + 2 = 4, which is a true, but it's nothing else than that. If you stop by a red light, you did nothing. You happen to listen to the law because you don't want to get hit. If you do a mitzvah, you created enormous things. It's the same mitzvah. But you did it, l'shem shemayim, that became a mitzvah. And if you learn Torah, you say the words of Torah, you have put into your mouth a exploding bomb, an exploding that will connect you to Hashem. So everything's in the Torah. Go. What unbelievable! This is Shweki did a murder gazach when he turned it into song because it goes in and in and in. Okay, and finally, Ben Hey Omer, Ben Hey says Lafum Tzara Agra, and this is of course the aside of everything. Everything depends on your efforts. You can go ahead and if you're the Rosh Yeshiva, but you never practice, you're a genius from the cradle, and everything goes in miyad right away. It's worthless, literally worthless. Not worthless. Every word of Torah connects you, but it's not worth as much as this kid who has a hard time understanding and nevertheless is a conscientious kid and he tries hard. Now, conscientious kid, that's his midah, that's his nature. So of course he's going to learn. I've got 5 different kids at the house, Baruch Hashem. Some of them cannot stand another minute of listening to their teachers on the phone. So we're just like, so don't. And some of them, my teacher said I have to do an extra project. I'm like, what? You just finished the project. I know, but she said extra credit. What are you doing extra credit for? Go play basketball. So there's different kids. So that's his nature. If that's the nature of the kid to try to please and to try. So then he gets less schar for actually doing it because that's his nature. That's his nature's pushing him there. You have this other kid. So there's a billion factors in every action that only Hashem can factor out. Those huge machines that have those music machines. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. There's hundreds of dials and everything. Every single action a person does is 1,000 of it. Today I'm this tired and that motivated and this and that. Plus I have this. There's millions of varieties, and only Hashem knows how to decide exactly how hard you worked.
I feel like it's a hard thing because what causes a person to act means eventually he has some kind of motivation enough to push him to do it. So therefore it's sort of easier. No matter what you do, it's always meaning you heard a good shmooze, so now like the same thing that you just were yesterday would have been harder, now it's easier. And how do you ever get effort? Meaning, how do you ever do something with effort if by the time you're doing it, you're motivated, saying like, I decided I'm going to learn. So like, it's hard, but because I decided I want to learn, it's also hard to work to learn.
No, and even then, first of all, specifically learning, the more gishmak you learn, as the famous Iglay Tal says, the more geschmack, it's better. But there is a svara. He says that those who say that the less geschmack is better because then it's lefum saragra. But he argues, and that's the way we go, that the more geschmack is better. But there is. You're right. It's true. If you become motivated, so then it pushes you. But even when you're motivated, you could try harder and not try harder. In other words, even a guy who's super motivated, let's say you have the Rosh Yeshiva, a brilliant person, he could also try 100%. His trying 100% might get him way further than everybody else. A guy who's smart, it's not like he can't try 100%. Everybody can try 100%. With all the dials the way they are, I'm trying 100%. Now, my 100% might not be as much as my friend's 100%, who has all the dials his way. So just because you're motivated doesn't mean you can't try 100%. It means with this motivation, I'm going to try 100%. Now, like you're saying, so trying 100% is always, you're asking that, Lamais, it's easier to try 100% when you're motivated. That's true. You're right. But so
like it's better to be unmotivated and give it your all than to be motivated to give it your all, to give it your all.
But like, this is a similar cheshbon to Adam Mauritian, who said, let me make it harder and I'll Lamais, in the end of the day,
right,
you end up losing. But you're right. If we could guarantee ourselves that we could go into the worst place on earth and afal biken steig and to become the same person we were, then of course it's much better because we're putting ourselves in the mud and afal biken going at 90 miles an hour. That's amazing. But the problem is that these things are very short-lived. You end up stripping your brakes and stripping this, stripping that. And that's no good.
This is like a very strange line in the Mishna. Like you would, in theory, not want to tell people this. No.
Really? No, this is very comforting.
Because of this cheshbon, meaning if I make the cheshbon all the way, it's like, well, I really should work to not want something, so it's harder. The more difficult, the more it becomes not part of my nature.
Because it's mamish the kasha that the Iglital starts off with. The Iglital mamish starts off with this kasha. Maybe we shouldn't want to learn and then learn anyways because you get more schar. And Fakert, he says people who like learning, so that's not geschmack anymore. They're not getting any reward. Mamish asks that kasha exactly the way you're asking it. But he says
the answer is what?
Yeah,
but I mean,
specifically
thing.
Because he says that specifically with learning, it goes in better if you have. So Adrabah, the more joy you do it with, the better.
You should stop the learning.
I have to look it up, and I always say it over with learning, but I don't know if you have to. I'm not to be medayik like that. I have to see it inside. I would say you can look it up. It's in the beginning. It's a famous Iglital, the very in the Hakdama. Anyways, all right, yeah, here it's but afal biken. In the end of the day, it's best to do to get the job done. But this is very similar understood. You have these guys. If Baruch Ber Zimmerman was here, he'd make fun of me for using the mashal again and again. But let's do Shmir Sinayim. Somebody who goes ahead and he has a hard time with Shmir Sinayim. He has to struggle, and he sins 5 times a day. But afal biken, the 2 times that he struggles, he causes blood to come out of his hands. So then, great. He's going to get much more schar than this yeshivish kid who has never been outside. He doesn't know anything. Okay, I'm not making fun of yeshivish kids, but
when you should, expose your kids to all television, everything, and like let them know how much.
All right, now
what's going on in the world. Okay, give them Netflix for like 8 hours straight. Like, I do whatever you want, and take it away. Now he's got that's now he shops what it is. He doesn't want it.
Okay. So true, that is a mahalach, but then that's like exposing your 4-year-old to a tiger and saying like, listen, if you beat this tiger, you'll be amazing. And they're like waiting for him to like beat the tiger. Anyways, all right, so we'll stop over here. That's the Perek. And again,
like there's the same thing as with tshuva. Like why not just do Averis? You can do tshuva for the Avera. It's the same.
And then not only that, they say that the Averis become mitzvahs. So
yeah. So
figure it all out.
Especially if I'm doing the Avera L'Shem Shemayim to make it into a mitzvah. That's my goal. Because I want it to be. I want the mitzvah.
I don't even know how much of an Avera will be. It'll be unfair. All right. Okay, Rabbi Yisai, Eshikoyach. Have an amazing Shabbos Kodesh.
Is there going to be an Erev Shabbos video, or there's going to be a full speech?
No, we're not going to do a speech tomorrow. But so I'm going to do video. Yeah, Mr. Shem. I don't have a vart yet, but
is the background music,
Right. Yes, Mr. Shem.
For all guys who forgot what's written on the Perek, here we'll have
We should yesterday. Rabbi Steinberg Lemaisa did not open his did not open, and
Didn't open?
no,
Who didn't open?
Rabbi Stein, no, he opened only backyard minyanim. Anyways, Rabbi Steinberg, he wasn't ready yet to open the shul, so he texted me. He texted me the other day like, what am I doing right now? So I said I'm learning. I'm in the middle of learning. So he said, learning? We're having hakafas in the shul right now, and I know he was joking, but. So I texted back and like I said, "Oh, that's such a good idea. We should have thought of that." Like, okay, I'm gonna do research and find a guy to bring hakavas to the shul. He's like, "No." But anyways, all right. Okay, we'll stop here. Rabbi Yisai, have an amazing Shabbos Kodesh.
Good Shabbos.
Have you heard about what's it called?
Wow.
Beis Medrash Tefillah put out a thing.
Oh,
Beis
wow.
Medrash Tefillah.
Who's that? Who's
They
that?
sent
Brody.
an email. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
they've been open.
I know.
They've been open. So they just sent an email though, like when they open, like when the show's open, they're like, Mazel Tov, like we're opening. It's like everyone's like, what are you doing? You've been open for the past whatever.
That's
You're
funny.
like,
I wonder why he did that. He was famous. He was open lad, yeah. That's funny. It wasn't like a secret. Everybody knows he's open.
no, but he sent an email yesterday that he's opening.
That's weird. I'll ask him up, Shabbos. Yeah, I was saying hours of discussions trying to get this decision passed.
Is there just,
A lot of ishtadlos here.
Is there a concept of Horish Min Tzibor in a place like Chicago when every Tzibor is their own shul? Like, is there such a concept of Horish Min Tzibor in that or no?
They're kind of. I wrote an article which was vetoed. It might still get out, but on this Zion Tuvei Ha'ir and whether or not they have do they have the rights to say that you can't daven? That shul rabbanim could tell me not to make a minyan. Oh, because you have a shul, I can't make a minyan. So I wrote a whole article on that, and the violet is vetoed, so it goes into my box of.
You think it's gonna go out?
I'm hoping it's going to go out because I was actually pretty pleasant to them. But I'm hoping it's going to get out. It's a kishmak shaila. What's the shaila of Basin? Like we had a meeting and we lost. So when do you say zokin mamre? When do you say you're not allowed to paskin? When do you say like it's a kishmak shaila in halachas, which is really what you're asking. We're asking a minhag, but I'm saying it's actually real halachas over here. There's halachas of Basin. We had a Basin. We had 50 rabbanim in a room, and we voted. And those who said stay open lost. So like, that's it. We have to be in Mekabel L'Rayv. When do you have to be in Mekabel L'Rayv? When not? It's a kishmak shaila. Like, what's the shaila of Zokin Mamre? That's mamish the shaila of Zokin Mamre. Zokin Mamre is maybe by Sanhedrin Davka. So what happens if all the Rabbanim in the world decide something? Is there no such thing as Sanhedrin anymore? Everybody says you have to close. So like a couple people said not. So the mice it's not Pashat Bechlal. Reb Malkiel said never close. Reb David Shustel, Reb Eliezer Bear, all the big gedolim. Yesterday somebody wrote a response back to I don't know. You heard of Rabbi Frankel? Rabbi Frankel's speech. I told you about it.
Oh, that was the one, the viral one about
Yes.
leaving. Yeah, we mentioned it.
So Frankel put out that. Anyways, so in a response to it, Rabbi Yair Hoffman put out a letter like, "Oh, are you talking about Rabbi Yerucham didn't daven with him?" Which is a stickle embarrassing because you're like pinpointing the gedolim. Rabbi Meir Stern, Rabbi Yerucham. You want to start listing gedolim? Let's start listing gedolim. Rabbi Bax, Rabbi Malkiel, Rabbi David Shustel, Rabbi Moshe Wolfson. All these people said not to close, and they never closed. Rabbi Shmuel Kamenetsky said.
There's only one way to solve this. We have an all-star game, you know? 5-on-5.
No, don't
5
start.
on. No, the whole point is it's not most times.